So, I don't use Spotify or Apple Music to stream music. Typically, I just use YouTube to stream music. The really interesting thing about using YouTube to stream music is that you can look through the comments on all the music videos and see what other people have to say about all these really interesting music videos from across the decades. And obviously, there's the usual sympathy bait comment that's like, my dad loved this song and he died 10 years ago and we always listened to it together. But those are actually kind of rare compared to the comments that are always like, this song hasn't aged a day, still listening 30 years later, and this is still fresh and new and sounds like it could be coming out right today and it would be the top of the charts. And what's really weird is these comments are always on these really dated songs like Unbelievable by EMF. Yeah, it's true that there is some music that doesn't really age, like Pink Floyd, for instance, doesn't really age, Velvet Underground doesn't really age, Talking Heads doesn't really age, Joy Division doesn't really age. You know, there's some bands that are like usually pretty timeless and their sound doesn't really come off as dated or tacky by modern standards, and you could probably show them to some Gen Z person and they'd be like, oh yeah, you know, I vibe with this, I resonate with this. But these comments that say that the music isn't dated are always on like the most dated fucking music, like Alright by Supergrass or Unbelievable by EMF. And don't get me wrong, a song being dated doesn't mean that the song is bad, it just means that the song wouldn't be popular if it came out today because it's doing things that modern songs don't do. We're currently in the Caroline Polachek era. We're not in the EMF era anymore. Now, obviously, context also has to be taken into consideration here. There are reasons as to why some songs sound dated and some songs don't sound dated. Like, the reason the Talking Heads don't sound dated is because a lot of their motifs and methods were adopted and rehashed by modern rock groups like LCD Soundsystem. So if you hear an LCD Soundsystem song, it sounds like a Talking Heads song, you're more likely to think, oh, the Talking Heads, they sound new and fresh, because they kind of invented and developed a lot of staples of modern rock and the modern rock sound by incorporating stuff like Afrobeats. On the other hand, a band like EMF's career was virtually killed overnight when Nirvana came out with Smells Like Teen Spirit. And that's the case for a lot of early 90s rock bands that tried to come up with a new rock sound. Nirvana just fucked them all in the trash. And Nirvana's a great example of a band whose sound hasn't really aged. Like, you can listen to a Nirvana album, hasn't really aged. But you know what has aged? EMF's Unbelievable. Unbelievable aged like 50 years within the span of 1 year, and that year was called 1991. It's actually kind of difficult to imagine a song that has more dated production value and instrumentals and vocals than Unbelievable by EMF, where the guy's like, oh, yeah, unbelievable. You're not gonna hear that on today's pop charts. Like, what the fuck are you thinking? It's kind of quaint. It's kind of adorable in this, like, old-fashioned way. I don't get it. It's funny, but it's also kind of sad that everyone has to convince themselves that all the old bands they like and all the old songs they like would be popular today. They wouldn't necessarily, but that's alright. Linear progression of time, yo. Like, shit, I don't even listen to new music, but I can acknowledge that it's extremely tacky and weird to insist that all this old music would be popular today among, like, the TikTok crowd, because, like, no, of course it wouldn't. And it also says something about the way that we perceive and analyze music, that we can't actually come up with compliments about a given piece of music beyond just the time period that it was created, and trying to, like, massage the ego of EMF and be like, yeah, you guys are basically Pink Floyd. They don't need to be. They're not even in the same ballpark, you know? Like, you could leave a really insightful, in-depth comment on Unbelievable by EMF about, like, the technique and all the work that went into it and how great it sounds. You know, it does sound good. It's a catchy fucking tune. And to someone like myself who doesn't really care about the time that a piece of music was created, I just care about, like, interesting production, the way a song sounds to my ears, you know, even if it is dated, I do like the song a lot, and I could probably leave a really nice, long comment that goes in detail about just what makes the song so appealing. But no, you know, the really short and sweet comment that's like, this song is from 91, yet it hasn't aged a day. You know, that's gonna get all the likes. It's just like instant gratification for no fucking reason. I love listening to music on YouTube, it's just the best. You don't get this experience on Spotify. Everything looks so orange right now through these weird glasses. Anyway, what are your thoughts on this whole thing? Let me know down in the whatever, and it's hot, and I'm gonna go drink some tea. Sayonara, suckers. You're unbelievable.